Well, after what turned out to be a real gorgeous weekend, it's starting to cool off again and we're supposed to get some rain. So I figure this morning we'll put on a chuck roast, kind of a poor man's brisket. I got some thoughts on that. If you want to stick around, I'll show you how I do it and I'll show you why. Getting my fire going here with some hickory and some pecan. Gonna get a good bit of coals in there, get the temperature up to where I want it. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go in there and trim up that. We got a Nolan Ryan, about a 4.5 pound chuck roast. Now I did buy this last weekend and I put it in the freezer. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's been sitting in the freezer now for a while. Here's my thinking on this. Most of the time, I'm cooking just for 2 people. So if I'm starting off with about 5.5 pounds of beef, instead of, let's say anywhere from 10 to 12, then this should work out better and have less waste. I'm using an old standby here, B&B, Trinity seasonal, which basically is salt, pepper, garlic. I mean, there's a few other things in there, but that's basically what it is. And then Zach's Spice Company Texas style barbecue sweet rub with no MSG. So if you don't like MSG, well, this ain't got it. If you do like it, it still ain't got it. I got that one at HEB last weekend when I went there. I'm not gonna go out on another HEB rant. We all know how I feel. I brought it up plenty. HEB still hasn't contacted me. So as far as I can tell, HEB doesn't care about North Texans. As far as I can tell. So I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna check on the fire. I'm gonna let this sit for probably a good half hour. Then we're gonna get it on that smoker. We're gonna cook it somewhere between, I'm thinking about 275, 300 degrees, somewhere right in that range. We're going to get it up to about 160, 162. Then I'm gonna wrap it just like I would a brisket. I'm going to put it back on there, and then we're gonna get it up to about 204, 206. So it's really, I mean, it is basically a brisket cook, and I'm not gonna have a bunch of waste unless it comes out horrible. So I'll see y'all in a minute. All right, so I called an audible right at the last possible second and included this Montreal steak seasoning. It's a lot coarser. It's a lot more coarse rub than just about any of the other ones that I use. And I want to see how that'll create, what kind of bark it'll create on this. So there you go, now you know. So let me tell you a little bit about why chuck roast instead of brisket today. Also, in the spirit of this YouTube channel, this is the first time I've done a chuck roast on a smoker ever. So going to be some things that work out, there's going to be some things that aren't going to work out, and that's the deal I made with y'all when I started this. I'm no expert. Come along with me. I represent you. So this chuck roast about 4.5 pounds. Smallest brisket I've ever cooked is about 12 pounds. Let's say I find a good 10-pound one. I'm still looking at more than twice as much meat on there. I think I paid $17.38 for this chuck roast at Kroger. But it's also the waste, and we try really hard not to have waste. But I only give away so much of this brisket, I would imagine. And besides that, just calling people going, "You want some brisket?" is not something that I'm really comfortable with doing. I don't know. If you want some brisket, you want some brisket, well then just call and let me know and we'll work something out. And generally I'm cooking for 2 people for the most part. And one of those people is not as much of a smoked meat, brisket, pork butt, rib kind of connoisseur as I am. She'll try anything I cook. She'll give me an honest opinion, and I still love her for that, even though she's honest in her opinion. Well, my thinking on this is going to be just about the right amount of meat for the 2 of us. Hey, you know what? Brisket is a whole lot fattier meat. I wonder, I'll have to look and see if this would be better to feed to the dogs. Give them a little bit. I don't feed a lot of brisket to those dogs. Do y'all? What's your, hey, good question. Maybe I should do a question of the day. Question of the day. I got my grill buddies over there, specifically Bo. Bo's barbecue dog. I got mostly Bo. He hangs out with me a lot. Pearl, she's a little bit out, a little bit in. But who's your grilling partner? Is it a dog? Is it a person? Is it an inanimate object? No judgment. And do you feed them along? Our temperature's coming down. I'm going to throw another stick on that fire. I'm going to get those coals, that bed of coals, just exactly what I want. By that time, that roast will be ready to come off and go on the smoker. And you'll be there for all the action. All right, kids. Here's what we're putting on there. So, that's that extra seasoning I just put on. Didn't just put it on, but put it on. My favorite part. What the hell? We tumped over, looks like. Oh well, I think we'll just go ahead and use that. Okay. It's about 6 hours from when I would like to get this off the smoker. I mean, completely off the smoker. We're gonna get it off once, wrap it, and get it back on. We'll see how that works out. I got my fingers crossed. I'm gonna get this fire going a little bit hotter. I'm gonna keep it going a little bit hotter. Again, we're cooking with a mixture of pecan and hickory today. About 50-50 on my wood pile right now. It's been in there about 10-15 minutes. I'm going to be coming about every hour or so and spritzing it with a combination of apple juice, apple cider vinegar, just like I would a brisket. I think that's going to help keep it moist. It doesn't have as much fat on it as a brisket did. It's a much leaner piece of beef. I'm a little bit worried about it drying out. I'm not going to act like I'm not a little concerned with it drying out, and I'm just kind of concerned about the whole thing. But hey, we're going to get through this together. We are going to get through this together. We got a couple hours in on this roast. Let's take a look, see what we're coming up with. That does not look bad. So let's see. So that tells you that it's not set up. You put it down, it comes off on your finger. That bark isn't set up the way that you want it to, but it is definitely getting there. Got my water pan down there. Also doubling as a drip pan. That's my 50-50 apple cider vinegar and apple juice. And we'll check on it again. I don't know, in about an hour. We're sitting at about 2.5 hours since we first put this on. I've spritzed it a couple of times. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my probe in there which this is a little bit earlier than I would do it with a brisket. But it's a whole lot smaller piece of beef. Like I said, I think I said about 4.5 pounds. Go ahead and put it in here and see what we're looking at. Alright, so I put it in a thick, probably the thickest part of there I could. Let's go check our reader. Yeah, hey, see, that's kind of what I was thinking. You know what? This is a whole lot smaller, and it's at 163. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this. I'm going to wrap it up, and hang on, I'm stopping thinking now. Maybe I don't pull it. Let's give it about 20 minutes or so and see if it goes ahead and keeps cooking without pulling it. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm going to pull it. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull it. I'm going to wrap it, and then I'm going to put it back on there. Yeah. Because I don't know what happened. I think that's going to get me a better product. I don't think it's going to take more than about an hour once I wrap it. I have no idea. Woo! It's kind of exciting, y'all. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, 163, 2.5 hours on the smoker, running between about 275, and it actually gets over 300 every now and then. It's at 287 right now. That's been pretty much our sweet spot. 285, 290, right in there. I gotta tell you, Old Country Pet Barbecue, this thing, 3/16 inch. I don't remember the gauge. I wish I could remember the gauge. It's good. It's thick. It's heavy. You can feel it. I put the gasket along here. I did not put the gasket on this box at all. I didn't worry about any of this. I run this top wide open. I never even mess with this. I adjust the back vents a little bit, but for the most part, I run this thing pretty wide open. And I just throw another little stick in there now and then, a little stick down then. Some more hickory I'm going to throw on there. So we might be finishing this cook a whole lot faster than I thought we were going to, which is good. That's not a problem. I'm going to get it wrapped up. I'll be right back. All right, wrapped up, back on the pit. A couple of new sticks of wood, ready to go. I have no idea. We're looking for 206, and I couldn't tell you how long that's going to take. I can tell you how long it would take with a brisket if I hit a stall and have to power through it. You know, I could be looking at an hour and a half, 2 hours, even longer sometimes. But I couldn't begin to tell you how long it will take right now. What I can tell you that it's been 2 hours and 45 minutes is all it's been since I first put that chuck roast on the smoker. Went a whole lot faster than I thought it was. I kept looking at it and I kept thinking, this thing's about ready. It's getting closer. And so that's why I went ahead and put my temperature gauge in. Turns out it was a good thing that I did. With the rain we got coming in, I don't know how much more I'll be able to cook outside. Cook in the rain. You cook in the rain? Do you? What would stop you from cooking in your backyard? Rain, snow, sleet, hail? So knowing what I know now, right off the bat, it's less time cooking a chuck roast than it is to cook a brisket. It's less money to cook a chuck roast than it is a brisket. And if you're cooking for a smaller number of people, it's less waste cooking a chuck roast than it is cooking a brisket. Keep your eye on that smoker, because this is coming off pretty damn fast. It's been 1.5 hours since I wrapped it and put it back on here. It was already showing at 206, getting right up to around 208. This is what I check even more than the temp. There, just nothing, just like butter. Now there is a weird spot right in here, and I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think I may have to cut around that or something, but everywhere else, it is literally just like butter. It just slides in, no resistance whatsoever. Now I'm gonna tell you something I learned the hard way. I did this with a brisket not long ago. I had it wrapped up. Now there's a bunch of juice in there that you want that juice. What I did, I ran my probe in there to feel for the tenderness, and I went all the way through to the underside of here, and I lost a whole bunch of juice. Don't do that. So we checked it for tenderness, and we liked what we saw. We checked it for temperature. We liked what we read. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this off of here. I'm gonna run it into the house, right? I'm gonna either cut it up, chop it up, pull it out, whatever works best for it. I just wanna get it all tore apart in any way I can. Chopped, pulled, what have you. Then I'm gonna put it in a pan. This pan right here, y'all. Mix up some barbecue sauce. I'm gonna mix up a few more spices and the juice that's wrapped inside that, it's wrapped inside this bag right here. Oh, that juice. It's like gold, y'all. I told you, don't punch the hole, you lose it. Oh, I cried when it happened. A grown man cried. I'm gonna mix all that together. I'm gonna pour it all over the top, put it in that pan, cover it up, put it back out here on this smoker for about another 30, 45 minutes. If your wife don't give you a hug when you do that, I don't know what to tell y'all. But that's what I'm gonna do. Y'all wanna come along for the ride? Here we go. Okay, so I let this rest here just a little bit. I'm gonna take it out of this paper. Then we're gonna help this along just a little bit. We're gonna take some beef broth. And we're gonna pour some in there. Like that right there. I'm gonna cover this up. And we're gonna put it back out there for about another 45 minutes to an hour. Or so. So after I wrapped it, let me back up. Got it up to 160 degrees, took it off, wrapped it up, put it back on, got it up to about 206, 208, took it off. Now I'm doing one last thing. I'm gonna put it in here, in this pan, right there. And I've got it in there with some beef broth. Beef broth. And just let it braise for a little bit. It's a pretty tough piece of beef. So I'm doing everything I can to make that piece of beef not so tough. My thinking is, I've cooked it exactly the way I would a brisket. Now what I would have done at this point is I would have taken it out, wrapped it up, put it in a cooler. I'm taking this one little added step and I'm incorporating it in there before I let it rest, but I'm not gonna put it in, I'm not gonna wrap it up in a towel after I'm done with this. This is gonna take the place of that. This is going to let it steam in those juices, which is what it does when you put it in the towel and you put it in the cooler, it steams. So this is just another way to do that. I'm gonna keep the temperature a little bit lower, not a lot lower, probably, well, right now we're sitting at 284. instead of the 300. We're gonna keep it about 275, 285 right in there, and do that for a good hour and just let it steam inside that pan. Then I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna put it back in there and just let it get some smoke on it for about 30 minutes. I'll still let it rest a little bit once it's off, so 6 hours cook time, half an hour letting it rest. I think that's about right. Let's see how it all turns out. I'm kind of excited to see how it's gonna turn out. I don't know. We'll see. All right, y'all, I have no idea what's fixing to happen here, which makes it very exciting. This is my chuck roast that I'm going to pull apart here and see how it's gonna look for chopped sandwiches and tacos. Wow, hey, oh, I like that. It's pretty much just falling right apart. You know what? I think I can just leave it in here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's gonna, okay, so here's that spot right here, I think, where my probe wouldn't go in the way that I wanted it to. So, you know, trying to find no resistance at all. Let me move this. Do not need a cutting board at all. This thing is just gonna come apart. Good bark. There's the bark right there. There's the smoke ring right there. And this is going to be the meat for everything from tacos to sandwiches to kolaches. I don't know how to make a kolache. There's a couple of spots right here on both sides that's like an eye. And I don't know enough about this to know why, but these were the areas that were still giving me some resistance when I was putting my probe in there. But having said all that, I'm pretty okay with the way this turned out. Hey y'all, you saw what I did. This is the final product right here. 2.5 hours on the smoker, took it off, got it wrapped up, put it back on for about another hour and a half, took it off of that, put it in this pan, let it just sort of steam. I put in some beef broth with that and I let it steam for about an hour and a half, and then took it off of that, opened it up, put my favorite barbecue sauce on there, which is from Salt Lick. It's their pecan honey barbecue sauce. Put it back on the smoker for about another 30 minutes and just let that bark harden. I don't know, I'm gonna get right down here in this. I don't know if you guys can see those smoke rings, if you can see the bark. I am really, really happy with the way this chuck roast came out, cooking it just like a brisket. But this is everything that it made. That's a pretty small pan, and that's gonna feed us for the next week. Probably not even that long. No waste, no muss, no fuss, a whole lot less expensive than cooking an entire brisket, and it just seems to fit our lifestyle a little bit better. Doesn't mean I'm gonna stop doing briskets, it just means that this is what I'm gonna be doing also. Well, that was my smoked chuck roast, and that's never gonna take the place of cooking briskets. Man, I'm gonna keep on smoking briskets, but it's nice to have options. Don't have quite as much time? This is an option. Don't want to spend quite as much money? This is an option. Cooking for a whole lot smaller group of people? This is an option. Hey, you guys, I appreciate the time that you spend. If there was anything on this that was a benefit to you, anything about this that you liked, hit that like button down there below. I appreciate it. You want to hit the subscribe button, it's coming up here in a minute. Hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, y'all, be good to each other and just keep on smoking.